chapter 13, you read it? Do it now? There's a lot in there, but I'm not going to quiz or test on a lot of it. I guess it's test, isn't it? The test in the final. Because you can't really test on this. The way I'd have to test on this stuff is wait until you were close to graduation, and then have you write the essays about what you think, right? Do a bunch of schedules, do a really big analysis, spend hours and hours on it. Because this isn't something that you can just boom, boom, boom. So what we'll do is we'll do the ratios I mentioned last time, right? And I'll have you do that. But I really don't want you to think that that's financial analysis, okay? Financial analysis is not calculating a few ratios. We use a computer to do that. It's just like accounting is not really writing down debits and credits, right, guys? It's being able to advise a client. It's being able to run a business, right? That's what this is about. That's where we want you guys to go. Computers are going to do this, right? But I hope you got the impression, the idea, whatever, the observation, that if you don't know where those numbers are coming from, you're in big trouble when you look at those statements. Take a look on page 644, 645, 646, 647, which you've already done. We did it last time, right? When you look there, carry their buck around. I wish all books were electronic so you could all sort of pull out computer. Anyway, someday, I said 10 years ago that we'd clearly be there in 5 years. Here we are. Look, the publishers still make you do what? Buy this, and then for additional money, they'll sell you what you really need, which is the online version, right? Really. How many of you like to read a book, the paper? Yeah, some of you. How many would prefer, it would be just as well if it were electronic? Yeah. Now, if it's a novel and it's for fun, I'd rather have paper. If it's work, just give it to me. Besides, I want to do word searches, don't you? Wouldn't it be nice if you could do word searches on this book? Yeah, if you have electronic, you could. I still don't understand. Well, I do understand that they're trying to make money, right? But they're not trying to educate us. Anyway, so I don't blame you for not carrying around all your books because it's really heavy, isn't it? My office here, my computer's in there. I'm carrying around books all the time. Luckily, I have a little bit of an office here, right, where I can store things, a file cabinet downstairs. I got the same life you do right now. And, it's ridiculous, isn't it? But I would suggest carrying your book. When you guys do intermediate, those of you who do intermediate, for God's sakes, bring your book to class. Okay? Bring it. Bring it. Yeah. And do they all bring it? No, just the ones that get A's and B's. Not kidding. Right? Bring it. Even in my auditing class, they're bringing the book. They probably don't need it anymore, but they're bringing it. Either that or they bought the electronic one too. So, I hope soon they'll let you buy the electronic and not the paper. And then if you like the paper one, great, buy one. And carry it around with you. Builds muscles, right? Good. I agree. Okay, anyway, take a look at those statements. Can you read these? Remember at the beginning of the class I said you could probably sound out the words when we started. I bet you could. You knew how to read numbers when we started. Bet you could. Now when I say, can you read them, what do I mean? You know what you're looking at. You know what these things are. Do you know where those numbers came from? Do you know that on the income statement, if you started before they started business for a year, all those numbers would be zero? And they've accumulated the year? Yeah, most people don't know that, right? Do you know what a sale is? Do you know what an accrual of a sale is? Do you know what a deferral of a sale is? Do you know what a cash sale is? Yeah, you do. You guys know a lot. And you might think, well, so? No. You're going to use it. If you run a business, if you're a manager in a business of any kind, right? If you have anything to do with business, this is gold, okay? Because most people don't know. And they end up working for you. And I don't mean most business majors don't know. Lots of them don't, right? But lots of them do, okay, of course, right? But people who don't have a business degree, they don't know. They don't know what they're looking at. And then you know how people try to learn over their careers is they read them over and over. How was that going to go for you? How many times could you read this without knowing what it meant if you didn't already know what it meant? How many times could you read it? Thousands? What good would it do you? Right? I can read books on nuclear physics too, guys, but it's not going to turn me into a physicist, right? Not going to happen, right? So, gotta learn. Anyway, so, goes. It's good. So, when we're doing these ratios, I told you last time, let's flip over, oh, by the way, on the balance sheet, you know, that's a summarization of everything that happened since they started the business, right? Never close those accounts, you guys know this. Okay. There's lots of good information in here. Oh, well, before I flip over, common size statements they mentioned, right? Which is horizontal analysis, and then they do vertical analysis too. What do I mean by that? Vertical and horizontal analysis. On the income statement, what would that be? And you can do it on any of the statements, but on the income statement, what would that be? What would vertical be? You take sales and divide it into every single number. What's profit margin? Net income divided by net income, the expense. Whoops, divided by sales, right? So sales into net income. What's your cost of goods sold percentage? How about cost of goods sold divided by net sales? How about gross profit percentage? How about gross profit divided by sales, right? This is just a vertical analysis. Now, where would that be handy? If I'm comparing year to year, here the years haven't changed very much, right? For Home Depot, they haven't changed very much. But if I'm comparing year to year and it's really changing a whole bunch, might it be a good idea to switch them into percentages instead of just the absolute numbers, the raw numbers? Sure, adds a little tiny bit of information. When you're analyzing financial statements, look at the statements at the same time you do the ratios, right? You need them both. I hate it when somebody gives me a sheet of paper that are ratios. It's worthless. Or even all the percentages for the company. It's worthless. Give me the numbers. Give me the financial statement. And then, oh, yeah, you can give me the other stuff if you want, right? By the way, if I were analyzing this company and you were analyzing this company, say we have a new client, and I'm way too old to still be at the firm, but let's say I was, right? So I'm 20 years younger. And, you know, so I'm going out on the job and you're going out on the job and I'm a partner and you're a new staff person. What do you suppose, or I'm a manager, maybe you're a new staff person. And we're going to go out and talk to the same client. We got the financial statements. What do? I'll look at the financial statements, read them real quick, get up. And I'll know a whole bunch of questions I'm going to ask her. Not answers, questions, right? We're consultants, right? We're coming in as outside advisors. Okay, so we're advising our client. So I go in with all kinds of questions. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? And you know what? The client usually knows. And if they don't, they need to find out, right? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Because the reason you want to know why it happened is, you know, if it's bad, what are you going to do? Try to come up with a way to fix it. That's what's valuable. The past is not valuable in terms of making money, right? The future is, right? That's where you make the money. So okay, our suggestions for how to make things better. What if it's already good? What do you want to do? Find out why. So you can do what? Replicate it, keep it happening, keep it growing. Did we just get lucky? It's just an accident? Maybe we hired somebody and they did a really great job. They're just God's gift to sales, and they are just pumping our product out, right? And now they're asking for a big raise, and we're like, well, no, we don't pay that much. Bye. And when they walk out the door, what happens? The sales go with them, right? If you don't know what's happening, why it's happening, how would you know what you're going to encourage and what you're going to discourage, right? It's management. It's running the place, right? Okay, anyway, if I were going to go into the meeting and you were going to go into the meeting, what I would do is I'd probably just read the statements and go. Can you do that? Can you read the statements and go where you're at right now? Of course not. When you graduate from this place, you think you'll have that skill? No, not even close. You won't be there. But what can you do? By the way, those silly little jobs you've got, who are you with again? Young, right? When you go out and do those internships, you're learning that. You're working with people who can do this. You can tell already, I bet. How many days you've been there?
6, my third day.
Yeah, have you noticed there are people around you who know a lot? Yeah, it's scary. It's intimidating. So how can they possibly know that much? And they're only, what, 5 years older than you, 6 years older than you, 10 years older than you maybe, right? Yeah. You know, they're young people. How do they know that much? Because they work. They study. Do exactly what you're doing. You just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. You don't quit learning when you get out of school. That'd be absurd. Okay, don't do that. You don't know anything when you get out of school. Anyway, what I'd suggest for you, though, guys, if you were going to that meeting with me, what you could do is you could calculate all these ratios. You could read the statements, and not all of them, the ones you like, right? You figure out which ratios you really like. And there are ones that aren't here that I like, too. It's just, this author didn't happen to put it in there. It's fine. So you get a set of ratios you like. You crank those out. And now what you do all by yourself, you crank them out, you're reading the statements, right? And you start asking yourself, why did that happen? You start asking yourself those questions, right? And when you go to the meeting, you'll have a few questions, not as many as the manager, right, or the partner, but you'll have some. And also, when they start asking questions, you can ask a follow-up question. And even if you ask a question that doesn't make sense, you know, the ratio you thought was significant isn't, or, you know, you get the wrong interpretation of it, everybody is going to respect you because you have the courage to say something, and they're also going to respect you because you prepared. You did some work, and then they'll teach you, right? You'll learn. If you just go to the meeting cold, you know, they'll quit liking you. What are you there for? By the way, the reason they're bringing you when you're a new staff person, they're a partner, is to show you off. Look what we got. Here's the future. They know you don't know anything, right? What I would always do is I'd bring the new staff person. I'd tell them exactly what they were going to say, not word for word, but you did this work on this audit, right? You did this work. Yeah. I want you, and this would be the day before or something. I want you to talk about that. I want you to explain what we did and why. And I want you to talk about what the problems are. What do you think the problems are? We can discuss. And they know. They did the work. And then they walk in, and the client thinks what? They're just doing it off the top of their head like I am. Right? They know I didn't prepare. Dude, I'm going to charge until I prepare. Right? Charge for anything I do. So I didn't prepare. We're just having a conversation, right? And they know really rationally that kid worked at that and prepared for it and is ready to make a little tiny presentation for a few minutes, but it's still impressive if they can pull it off. So be ready for that stuff, you guys. If you have a really nice manager or partner or whatever, senior, they'll set you up to be successful. But then deliver, right? And it doesn't have to be great shakes. It's just you had the courage to talk. How many of you guys are introverts on that Myers-Briggs scale, that Jersey temperament scale? We have some introverts in here. I'm an extreme introvert. 0 extrovert, 10 introvert when I do those little things, right? 100% introvert. Do I seem like one to you guys? No. I'm working. 75% of the people in the world are extroverts. Only 25% of those are introverts. So who's right? Extroverts are. Because there's more of them. So what do you do if you want to be successful in business or in anything? It's like, let's not fake it. I'm not pretending to be an extrovert. I'm working. Faking it, I don't like very well. But you're right. It's faking it, right? I don't have any personality whatsoever, but I just manufactured one, you know, when I try to have one. My wife and I went to a gathering at the church that sells beer. It's an old church that's turned into a beer place.
Holy Grail.
Holy Grail. Yeah, when you're old enough and you're rich, beer that costs $12 for a 16-ounce pour. Really, right? 8, 9 is real common. They sell it as cheap as 5, I think, 6. Those aren't the good ones. They have the best beer from all around the world. I think it's the best place in town. But we made this horrendous mistake. We were going to join a friend of ours, a former student, used to work for my wife. And she wanted to go there. She loves really good beer. And we like the place. It's really nice. Anyway, so they had a take over the tap night. You guys maybe don't know what that is yet. But what happens is a brewery comes in, you know, there's microbreweries. Brewery comes in and takes over the whole place. So they have all their different beers. And it's a very good brewery. And I can't remember the name, but anyway, it's up from Indiana. And so it's a really great beer. But they publicized this big event, right? Walked in there, and it's wall-to-wall people. They're standing in line to get beer. This is ridiculous. I really like this place when you go there in the afternoon, and there's nobody there but me and my wife and 4 other people, you know. So, it's not a real big place, but anyways, it's comfortable. The food's good, and the beer's good. It's really nice, great environment. I hated that experience. So I'm never going back there when they're doing, or anywhere else where they're doing this thing, right? Why? Extroverts would have loved the time. All those people were having a really good time because they were all shoulder to shoulder standing in line waiting for beer. Am I right, introverts? That's how extroverts are. Huh? Yeah. By the way, if you're an extrovert, shut up. Let somebody else talk. Listen. Okay? Are you an introvert? You don't know. Okay, never taken that scale? You should do that. It's online, you guys. You can go out online and find it at intelligence admissions. Or somewhere. ARC. Right? Yeah. To find out what your personality type is. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. Guess what my wife and I did yesterday? I worked from home. I talked to other people via the computer. emails, right? I talked to no one on the phone. I did talk to my wife, and I talked to my dog. She thinks she's a person, right? And I might have said hello to a neighbor when I walked the dog twice. I wandered around, but I don't remember that. I wasn't working. I could be by myself. Got it? So I don't care if you're an introvert or extrovert. You can be in whatever profession you want, right? Okay. So anyway, when you go to the meetings, talk. Oh, I got to tell you this one too. When I was working in public accounting at Tacoma, the wire appearance at Tacoma was a manager there, and the managing partner, actually two of the three partners, were graduates of, get this, Bellarmine High School. It's the only Catholic high school in Tacoma, Washington. Huge place, really good school. And so, Bellarmine. So I still work at Bellarmine. I never went to Bellarmine, I wasn't from Tacoma. And so these guys that get together, in those days it was all men, were partners, managers, and sexist world at back in those days. Anyway, so we had these gatherings, you know, a few people who are working with the client, you know, they're working for the client, we come in. And they talk about high school days every single time. It was like people from Trinity and St. X, you know, right? And they just, how many of you guys make category? Only one. Only insulting one person now. Okay, anyway, yeah, but anyway. So do you tell people where you went to high school first or where you go to college first?
Usually high school.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's the only town I've ever been in my life where that's the case. But anyway, that's not. It's really good for their fundraising. Nice, they have nice facilities, don't they? People think they're in high school for the rest of their lives. Anyway, never leave. Anyway, it's fun. Anyway, we talk about Bellarmine. And so I'd let him talk 5, 6, 7 minutes. Because I watch him say, you know, I'm billing you for this. This is a real expensive discussion about high school days. He said, oh, God, Richardson. And I wouldn't have said a word up to that point. Oh, God, Richardson, we have to work. And then I do all the time. From the meeting. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It was kind of a joke for him. It was nice, right? I don't want to talk about the weather. I know what the weather is. Why would anybody talk about it? Have you guys heard me talk about the weather? I do sometimes. You know, if we met each other in a social setting and I couldn't think of anything else to say, we'd talk about the weather. I talk with people about sports too. Do you think I really care about sports? Not in the least. Right? Who cares? But you know, why do I have all this Oregon gear? Because my grandkids buy it for me. Why do I wear it? Because they bought it for me. Besides, I don't have much else, right? It does. None of that stuff matters. So what your interests are don't matter. I mean, be a nice person and talk to people and everything, right? But be who you are. And then, what do you call it? Faking it? Yeah. When you go to work, okay? And that doesn't just mean sit down at a computer screen and crank out numbers. You can be that person if you want, but you better be creating new numbers, not massaging old ones. If you're massaging old ones, you're going to make $30,000 a year. If you're creating new stuff, you're going to be making $200,000 a year. You guys with me? Who do you want to be? And you're going to be running things. So when somebody says, well, I want to be computer science, I ask them, what do you mean? Are you going to create video games? Good, if they sell. If you're going to play with video games, not so good. Right? If you're going to test them for people, you better be really good at playing video games, right? You can make a lot of money. If not, they don't even want you. Right, guys? By the way, I know computer scientists do other things than video games. They actually make this thing. Right? Somebody did. Now, the tech people who maintain this system don't make very much money. How about the people that designed it? Yeah, and developing it further and so on. So, yeah, whatever career you go into, go for it. Anyway, all right, so let's go over to the ratios, and we'll talk about a couple of them, I guess. What I told you which ones I want you to know, right? Which ones where you don't have to worry about anything that has cash in them? Number 5, you were here last time, number 8, number 14, everything else, know them, okay? We'll do some different ones than I did in the other class. Let's talk about, well, first, price-earnings ratio. Did I mention that much last time? Price-earnings ratio? I think it's extremely valuable, and I think you should beware when you're first starting, okay? What is it? Price over earnings. Where would you find these things? Market price per share, it's listed in the Wall Street Journal, it's listed online. You find it anytime. Yahoo Finance, okay, you can find it. So I get the market price per share. Where do I find earnings per share? It's on the income statement. You look back at the income statement. Okay? So I talked about what would be good and what would be bad. The only thing I want to mention now is how many things go into determining the market price per share. How many factors go into that? Oh my. Understand it all, right? Everything's going on in the economy. Everything's going on with the company, right? What's happened in the past? What people predict is happening in the future. Right? That's in that market price. Okay? Has to be. Okay? What goes into earnings per share? All their revenues, that's all their expenses, right? Every single transaction that happened during the year, right? Are those closely related to each other? Not necessarily. If I have really good earnings per share, would that probably drive up my stock price? Yes. If I have really poor earnings per share or loss per share, would it probably drive it down? Yes. Is that the only thing that's affecting market value per share? Of course not. Is the amount this is the amount that you're going to pay for the stock, and this is what you earned last year. Is that a good predictor of what you're going to earn in the future? Maybe, maybe not. A lot of times, yes. Real stable company, but what if it's bouncing all over the place? Not so hot, right? So you have to really know the company before you use that. How about this one? Let's look at dividend yield. What's dividend yield? What's the deal with that? I've got dividends per share divided by market price per share. It's the same market value per share, right? Dividends per share, or you could do dividends in total, of course, right? And market value in total, which is called market capitalization, by the way, market cap. We're going to use that in accounting 211 if you take it. Okay, and you're going to do it the finance, rather 315. Anyway, so yeah, it could be the total instead of per share, right? That'll give me my dividend yield. So if I had $10 million in dividends and my market value is $100 million, guess what? I have a dividend yield of 10%.
So we've already done that. Dividend yield.
Have we done it?
Like in one of the chapters.
Oh, they mentioned all these in all the chapters that we went through. I didn't quiz on any of these or anything, right?
No, I was saying like we had to use that for, I think it was like the stock chapter where we had to find like the price per share with the dividend. Like, because they gave it a dividend, and you had to say like how much the company, or how much.
Oh, that's splitting dividends when you're sharing the dividends between preferred and common shareholders, right?
Yeah,
What percentage
like,
dividend was?
Like just when the company gives out a dividend, and, and like the question is like you have like 1,000 shares, how much of a dividend would you get?
Yeah, would each one get? Yeah, and you could use this for that, right? But this is comparing the market value though to the dollar amount.
Oh, okay.
So this is $10 per share dividend, and the market value is $100 per share. This is a really big dividend, 10%, because you think what they'd have to earn. But you know, there are companies, real estate investment trusts, and they're required to pay out all their earnings in dividends every year. And then if you wanted the company to grow, you have to get people to invest more, and they get special tax treatment because of that. Okay, they're treated like they were a partnership, even though they're not, right? So real estate investment trusts are called. And they can be really nice investments if you want cash flow, right? Because you give them your money, and they earn money, and they give you whatever they earn, right? That's how it works, okay? And then you can invest more if you want, right? Of course, and you can always sell it, of course. Anyway, but what does this measure really give you? It's how big the dividends are compared to the market value. And I've just got to tell you guys, so I don't care, right? I don't care unless I want dividends, I guess, right? It's a good dividend stock if it's high. Could this be zero? Sure, don't pay any dividends. It's zero. Does that mean it's a bad company? Of course not. Probably means it's a growth company. It might mean it's bad, though. Maybe they don't have any income, right? You can't tell anything from that, right? Why do I have you learn it? Because people use it. So here's the price-earnings ratio. I'm going to encourage you not to use it until you really know what you're doing, but it's really valuable. Here's the dividend yield. I'm going to encourage you not to use it because it's kind of worthless. Who cares? So if some stockbroker says, oh, it's got a great dividend yield, what would you say? I'm not investing for dividends. And if they don't know what that means, get away. Get away, get away. You don't care what the dividend yield is if you're not taking dividends. What do I have to do if it's a high dividend yield like that, 10%? Every year they give me 10% of my investment in dividends. What do you think? I have to reinvest it. That's work. I might have to pay taxes on it. That's a cost. I might have to pay to do the investing, right? Pay somebody to do it or pay trading costs. I don't want that. What would I rather have if I'm going to leave the money in for long-term growth? Don't give me any dividends. What I do is I invest in funds where they get the dividends, and I never see them. I don't know what they are, and I don't care. All I see is how much my investment went up, right? And they automatically reinvest it for me in something, right?
Something called trips investment.
Trips. Trips.
Where they give you a
I don't know.
dividend and they just go back in the company.
Maybe. I've never heard that term. I'm not a finance guy. Maybe. Yeah. So, growth funds. Okay. Well, let's do times interest earned. I think this one's really valuable if I'm inside running the company. And also if I'm loaning them money, I like this one. I really like this one for loaning. Number 13 there. Times interest earned. That's not a bad one. This one gives us an opportunity. I don't know, it doesn't do it for that. Okay, times interest earned ratio. That's how big my interest is, right, compared to my earnings. And here's what I'd like you to think about. So you can memorize the formula if you want. Net income plus interest expense, right, plus tax, income tax, all divided by that same interest, right? That's what it is. Here's the deal. On your income statement, let's say we had all our revenues less all of our expenses except for interest and taxes. This would be my operating income maybe, right, before interest and taxes. Then I have my interest expense, right? Then I would have net income before tax. You guys are remarkably keeping up, aren't you? Isn't that cool? I like it, right? You worked hard, so you get to keep up. Then we'd have tax expense. We have net income, okay? So, if this were $1 million, and this were 800,000, good company. This is 200, and then let's say that this is 50. That would make this be 150, and then let's say we're in a 33% tax bracket, right? So 33 and a third is our tax bracket, making my math easy. Okay, so this is 50. What's my net income, guys? 100. Now let's figure out how many times you can pay your interest. What could this number go down to? What could net income go down to? And you still get to pay your interest. 0, right? If net income goes to 0, that would probably mean what? Net income before tax is also 0, and tax is also 0, right? All those could go to 0. This one can go to 0, this one can go to 0, this one can go to 0, and what we would have is no net income, 50 of interest expense, right? Our operating income must be 50, right? So we can go all the way down from 200 to 50 in operating income and still, what? Pay the interest one time. Everybody see that's 1? So how many times can we pay it? I guess we can pay it 1, right? Plus another 1. It happens to be the same number. Plus another 2. Would you guys agree with that? It is 100 plus 50 plus 50. 100 plus 50 plus 50. Of course, we have covered it how many times? 4. Right? Don't memorize the formula. It's obvious, isn't it? You just pull it right up the income statement. What could happen to my net income and still cover it once? Take it to 0, right? Because interest expense is deducted. Let these be common sense. If you're a lender, how big would you like that number to be? As big as possible, right? But if I'm running the company, I don't want it to be really big. Why? I should be borrowing more money if it's too big. Why? What if I can borrow at 10%? And this you'll get, if you watch the other video I talked about, return on equity, return on assets, and return on debt. Let's say I can borrow at 10% and I'm in a 30% tax bracket. What does my interest really cost me? Government pays 30% of it, don't they? So if I borrow at 10%, the government pays 3%. What do I end up paying? 7%. So I borrow net tax at 7%. What if I can earn 15 with it? What happens to me? I use other people's money that's costing me 7%, and I earn 15 on those assets I bought at that time. Who gets to keep it? Shareholders. This is called positive leverage. You earn more, right, than it costs you to borrow. Guess what negative leverage is? Let's say I borrow at 10% and I lose money. What's my tax rate if I lose money? 0. Now what's my cost of interest after tax? Seeing as it cost me 10% on the money I borrowed, right? Interest. 0 tax benefit, right, of that. It's costing me 10%, isn't it? Let's say I invest and I only earn 5, or I earn 2, or I earn nothing. Do I still owe the interest? Yes. Risk-return trade-offs. The debt holders, how much are they going to get paid? 10%. What are the shareholders going to get paid? Everything else. What do you earn? Right? Who's taking most of the risk? The shareholders. Who gets the big return? By the way, would that be pretty good if you borrowed at 10% or 7 after taxes and you earn 15 with it? What do you think? Nice, huh? Nice. Okay, so that's positive leverage and negative, obviously, right? You earn less than it costs you to borrow. What is high and low leverage as well? Leverage, the lever to earn more money, right? Leverage, just like in physics. Okay, leverage, what's the deal? If I borrow a whole bunch of money at 10%, and my after-tax cost is 7, versus if I only borrow a little tiny bit, right? Which gives me a better lever. If I only borrow a little tiny bit, I don't get much benefit, right? Because mostly it's my own money invested, my own equity. What if I borrow a whole bunch and I don't have very much of my money? Oh, I'm going to have real high leverage now. So what's the deal? If I have real high leverage and positive leverage, what happens? I get rich. What if I have real high leverage though and it becomes negative? Wow. Now I borrowed almost everything. I've invested in assets and it cost me more for the interest than I earned. You guys have heard about bankruptcy, right? Okay? So we're balancing this thing, right? I would tell you that some companies don't have enough debt. They should have more leverage because they'd be richer if they did. They aren't taking enough risk. And I tell you, other companies are just a disaster because they've got way too much debt. It's way too much risk. But so many factors go into it, not just how much money you borrow. By the way, what happens to your interest rate if you borrow a lot? It goes up. So all this is a moving target, right? Okay. What happens if you want to double the size of your business? Might you still get the same return on your assets? I don't know. Might be more, might be less, might be the same percentage. So you're taking out your crystal ball and trying to guess. I don't like to go to the racetrack. I like to go to the racetrack kind of because it's really pretty out there. You're in Churchill Downs. I don't like to go, though, we already covered this, I don't like to go to Derby and Oaks. Why? They're way too many people. It's just ridiculous. It's like going to a concert at Young's. Ridiculous. I do go to concerts, but I go to little tiny performing halls where it costs $30 instead of $150 to watch somebody perform. Right? Not the same people. They're not known yet, right? And maybe never will be, but really good. All kinds of stuff. Look for bargains like that, you guys. Unless you just really like hanging out with. How many people fit in the Young Center? 40,000? Nobody did. 20? 20 less. Okay. They just had a country concert that my son-in-law and daughter went to. Garth Brooks. Yeah. They did 4 concerts with 20-some thousand people each year. Every 2 days full of people swarming around outside. Oh, for God's sakes. What's wrong with you? And what did you go? Yeah. What did that thing cost? Yeah, I'm sure they paid more.
My mom bought it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Did your mom go? She did. Okay. So like your it's hard. My wife did. She never did. She goes. Yeah. Anyway, she likes people better than I do. Why was I talking about that? There was a reason. Now we got to charge for us. Oh well, it'll come back. Maybe. Okay. Anyway. Oh, I don't like to gamble at the racetrack. And we do $2 a race bet. My wife's pretty good picking horses, right? And she's lucky, right? So whatever that means. So sometimes she'll actually make enough money on races to pay for my beer and hot dogs. Their brats. It's really nice. It's good. And they have good brats. Okay, so that works out really good. Other times she loses a little bit of money, and it's a more expensive day to go there. Still cheaper than the stupid concert, right? Yeah. Other garbage trucks, that's crazy. But anyway, anyway. So, and the casinos are worse, right? You're indoors, no windows, and you're putting your money down on a table, and then they take it and leave. Well, actually, they take it and you leave. Stupid. If you like to gamble, go into business, you guys. You can take as much risk as you want, and as little risk as you want. And it's a fair game. You could win. It's not winning. You could earn it, right? And there are people out there that will be competing with you who are just gambling, by the way, that don't know what they're doing. You always beat them. I met a guy once who was a professional gambler, and he said, and he played roulette. And you think, roulette, isn't that just luck? The wheel, right? You know? And it's spinning around. And he says, it's not just luck. There are odds. And if you understand the odds, you can beat people who don't. Of course, the house, the casino takes almost all the money, right? They take all, very few people win, most people lose, right? So it is. They take the big cut, right? When he says the money, the earnings, right? The net earnings, they take almost all of it. He says, I always get some. He says, I always make money. Every time I gamble, I make money. He says, I wish I had the money I lost learning how to do it. And he says, it's so much work, it takes me all day to make a very good return. He says, I can work 8-10 hours work at the roulette wheel, and I make a few $100, or if I'm really on that day, I might make a few thousand, right? A really, really good day. And I'm thinking, when I worked in public accounting, I'd have days, lots of days where I made $1,000. And there wasn't any risk of me not getting it. And I never had a day where I made as low as 200. Right? I mean, geez. Before I went to teaching. Right? But it's still gambling. Still gambling, right? So I'm going to encourage you guys to be gamblers. Right? Just in business. Stock market, you can gamble as much as you want. At work, you can gamble as much as you want. With your own investments in a business, you can gamble as much as you want for as little. And what it amounts to is how risky are your products, right? And that's what this stuff is about, you guys. How risky are the decisions you make? How risky is the amount of debt that you have, right? What's your tolerance for risk? And here's what I suggest you do. Be risk neutral. What does that mean? What's risk aversion? I don't like risk. How many people know somebody that's really, truly risk averse? They're really worried about risking their money. And, most of us know somebody like that, right? My grandparents were that way. It's really sad. Part of it was just they didn't know. Their investments amounted to mostly their house, right? And their house was worth 5 or 6 times what they paid for it when they died. And that return on that house was 2 to 3% per year. Because that was a lot of years, right? Would they have been better off to have some money in the stock market? Oh, infinite, right? So knowledge is important, right? Okay, it ends up the same way right there is still in heaven, right? Makes a difference, ultimately, I suppose, right? But how you live in the meantime, you have more control over that by knowing what you're doing, okay? So encouraging you to learn this stuff, it's not about the ratios. It's thinking about what would I do? How would this work? Not just for your personal investments. It's more for what? What you're going to do at work. We do exactly the same thing. Right? We want to leave on time today, right? So we can say we did it a couple times. Yeah, I did. I think. Do I have them? Yeah, I do. Anybody else not have their quiz yet? I got a couple of them here. I gotta remember to bring them too and hand them out to you guys with blank.
okay.
I must not have it with me. I'll bring it next time.
Yeah.
Let me check one more thing. That's all right.
No, that's okay.
It's up here somewhere.
That's all right. Don't
It's
worry
around
about it.
somewhere.
I'll get it, I guess Monday.
Okay, have a good weekend.
Thank you, you too.